Welcome, welcome, and happy Monday. It is the 5 o'clock show with LA. Today we are going to be talking about how to get booked as a guest expert, both in person and also virtually. Because right now, and I know that you've heard me mention this before, but business is happening super fast. People are sending in inquiries, and you've got to respond quickly because they are just moving on to the next person. Because everybody knows that everybody's home right now. So let's get started because this is the perfect show, getting booked as guest experts for coaches, whether you're a business coach, whether you're a mindset coach, consultants, like all sorts of consultants, even if you're a service done for you type business, whether that means you're a VA, a virtual assistant, an OBM, an online business manager, a web designer, you do Facebook ads, you do Instagram, social media manager, the list goes on. Becoming that guest expert is going to position you as the expert, literally the expert. So I'm just going to share this in my group real quick while I'm just kind of like talking and like multitasking here. What I would love to know is why my business pages are just so long until you can get to the actual first new post. Hey Sandy, it's nice to see you. Share in a group. And if you are watching this live, also feel free, if you feel like people that are in your community or your group or even on that you're connected to that would benefit from this particular message, please feel free to share this as well. And I'm also going to share this in my news feed. There we go. Okay, so that is done. And as you've got questions that are coming up, just type a bunch of question marks because over in the comment section, it makes it super easy for me to find. If you're noticing like, oh, Laurie-Ann's background looks a little bit bigger today, it's because I'm actually I'm moving myself closer to the wall because it is just so sunny at 5 o'clock. The sun is starting to set here. And it's just so darn bright. Hey, Talene, it's nice to see you. So today we're talking about getting booked as the guest expert. I already explained who this is for. This is getting booked as the guest expert is perfect for coaches, consultants, and service-based entrepreneurs, like the service done for you, like virtual assistants and web designers. But let me go over first why you would like to do this. Let me just say hello to Terry and also hello to Sarah. I think it's not sunny over in England. I think that's what that means. Let me share with you why you would want to be booked as a guest expert. It positions you as the expert. Whether it's your first time speaking, first time being a guest expert, or it's your 100th time, you are always positioned as the expert in the room. Virtual room, real room. I always like to use the example of health coaches. How many of you know more than one health coach? Just kind of like type down below, like yes, give me some thumbs up. Like, yeah, I know a bunch of health coaches. If you're in a room, in a meeting, virtual or in person, and the person who is speaking is a health coach, and let's just say there's several that are in the audience, I always like to say and I've even asked and polled audiences, if you're going to hire a health coach, who are you going to hire? You're going to hire the person that was sitting next to you that happens to be a health coach, or are you going to hire the person that's in the front of the room? Tell me who you would hire, you guys that are watching right now, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay. Who are you going to hire? In most cases, when I have polled rooms, people always say, I know several health coaches, but if I was sitting in the room and there was a health coach that was speaking in the front of the room, that's the person that I'm going to go hire. And Terry says she does know she knows several health coaches, like most of us. And I just use health coaching as a great example. One, because all of us have health and all of us could benefit from using and working with a health coach. So Other reasons why you would want to get into be the guest expert. Other people's audience, OPA, other people's audiences. This is a group of people that you are going to be put in front of that you probably didn't have the opportunity to speak in front of any other time. So let me kind of also go over like what are some of these, like where could you have other people's audiences besides virtually, besides in person. I'm talking podcasts, masterminds, live events, workshops. You can just like go right over to like Eventbrite and you can see the list of different events that are being planned every single day. But I digress. Let me go back to more with the why you want to do this. It'll help you grow your email list. Other people's audiences, grow your email list. You make them an offer, whether that's for your free PDF, a free checklist, some sort of opt-in that they can get for free, and then you can put them through your funnel so that maybe you can get them on a call with you. You can either sell out your programs also while you're speaking as the guest expert. And remember, when you're that guest expert, you're the expert in the room, you've already got that credibility. And especially since somebody's doing an introduction for you, that adds to your credibility as well. Increases your website traffic. Increases your social media following. And think about like all of a sudden like you're getting more and more followers on Facebook or followers on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm just using those three as examples. And Facebook, Facebook owns Instagram, and they're seeing like, wow, more people are liking her page suddenly. They're going to start showing your posts, your work more. So you're like, that just helps with the algorithm as well. And then you've also got this audience of people, again, live or virtual, this audience of people who can also refer you to other speaking opportunities, being a guest expert. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have gotten emails from people who said, somebody that's on our committee saw you speak before. Well, how do you think they saw me? Like, how do you think they got on my email list? They got on my email list because I was speaking and I offered them something. Let's just see what Miss Sarah has to say. I was in a friend's group and scrolled back through the post, saw a shout out for speakers from another group from February, emailed her. Let me bring that back up. I emailed her to ask if she was still looking for speakers. She came back with a page-long review of how she loved my stuff. I'm on her show later this week. Other people's audiences. And Sarah, thank you for bringing that up because that is actually one of the tips on how to get booked and how to find those opportunities to be that guest expert. Because as most of you, if you have participated in my training, the Get Booked training, I teach you how to find those opportunities and I teach you how to pitch. But thank you, Sarah. That was a great segue into how do you get booked for these speaking opportunities. And there are words. First, you got to do some research because I want you to speak to the right audience, not just any random audience. So for example, I'm a business coach, speaking strategist. I'm not going to speak to a group of engineers. And I'm just using engineers as an extreme. Nothing against engineers. My dad's an engineer, as most of you know from probably hanging around me long enough. Nothing wrong with engineers. Just not my audience. My audience might be better suited, like one of my talks, I should say, is better suited for like a chamber event, an event filled with entrepreneurs, a women's business growth event. That's where so I want to make sure that I am speaking the right event, and the right event means the audience is my ideal client. So you want to do your research first. Make sure you research to find the perfect audience. Research to find the perfect podcast to be a guest on. Facebook groups, membership sites, masterminds. All of these that I am mentioning to you, I have been a guest expert in. And I still get referrals. I'm doing one actually next month in a few weeks. I'm going to be a guest expert for somebody's high-end mastermind. So you want to do some research. With that research, just as Sarah said, she scrolled back and she found somebody who was looking for speakers, and that was from February. But in the search section of these Facebook groups, you could type in certain keywords. And I don't want to give away all the answers right here. So if you would just share with me, type down below what are some keywords that you specifically would type in so that you could find speaking opportunities, guest expert opportunities, people that are looking specifically for you, or I want to say you are looking for the right opportunities. Just type those down below. This is a good opportunity for me just to grab a drink of water. I've been on the phone all day, doing a lot of talking, doing a couple of videos for my membership in demand. So let's see. All right. Some keywords as you are typing them down below. Some keywords that you might be looking for are obviously speaker, guest expert, podcast guest, even just expert in what you're doing. Sarah says opportunity, speaker. Terry says stress. Jen says hello. Hello, Jen. Jen is a health coach specializing in Lyme disease. So one of her keywords, and I know, Jen, you're just joining us, but I'm sort of speaking for you since I know that you're here. Some of her keywords would be Lyme disease, autoimmune disease, maybe even as a guest expert, chronic illness. Those would be some of hers. So what other words would you be coming up with? Let's see, opportunity and speaker. And definitely don't overlook the podcasts either. There are so many podcasts that are out there and so many podcasts that keep coming up. And you could just literally type these keywords either into Facebook groups, use the keywords, hashtags over in like Instagram, but don't forget Google. Because Google, you could type in, Facebook groups, and the specific topic that you specialize in. Become a member of those groups or get in on those groups, and then then do a search just in those Facebook groups. Hope that makes sense. And then the next R is you want to reach out. You want to reach out to the person because you want to make sure, you want to personalize your pitch. And with personalizing that pitch, I also want you to do a teeny bit extra research. Because in your pitch, you want to make sure that you are sharing why you would be a good fit. Here's a little pet peeve of mine. And I think you guys have heard me say this before. And before I go into my pet peeve, let me just take a peek over here. Some of Jen added chronic illness would also be one of her keywords that she would search. Talene says image and skincare. Another one of Jen's is Lyme disease education. Sarah says any topic plus discussion groups or forums on Google. Absolutely. And Jen also adds Lyme recovery. Here's my pet peeve. I do see a lot of posts by people that are looking for, let's just say, podcast guests and also somebody to speak, an expert to speak over in their private community, their private Facebook group. And I see a lot of people raising their hands, little emojis saying, me, I'm interested. If you guys have been hanging around me long enough, you know it's one of my pet peeves. And the reason why it's a pet peeve of mine is because the person who's looking for somebody just sees a me. They don't know you, and they don't know if actually you would be a good fit. And some of these groups that have thousands and thousands of members, if somebody puts out there that they are looking for a guest expert, they can literally have a list of people, 30, 40, 50 people who who are raising their hands saying, yeah, me. It's the person that stands out that says, here's what I speak about. If you think that this would be a good fit for your audience, please send me a DM. Reach out to me, let me know, and let's continue the conversation. You want to do the exact same thing when you are like booking for in-person events, not just virtual events. Always making sure that let's have a conversation to make sure that what I talk about is a good fit for your audience. You're the expert on your audience. You know what your audience is looking for. You know what you are looking for your mastermind, for your membership site, for your Facebook community, for a live conference. But you want to make sure that you just open so that it doesn't sound needy. Okay, that's basically it. You don't want to sound needy. I've just seen it too many times, and every time I see it, I just kind of cringe, and I'm just like, geez, I wrote a post, I've done Facebook Lives on this. This is how you do a soft pitch. So again, you're going to do a little bit of research. Learn about the group, learn about the podcast, learn about the audience, learn about the different topics that they've already had, different guests that they've already used. What's the ROI? So here's a good one, especially if it's a cold pitch, if it's a cold outreach. What's the ROI of having you speak? So let me just take a particular corporate situation. You want to speak about stress management. Terry speaks about stress management. Sarah actually could talk about burnout. Who else is in here that's watching? I'm just trying. Sandy, actually. Okay, so let's just say the three of you are approaching corporations. You're each approaching somebody different. And you want to share with them what's the ROI of having you there. Well, most corporations, one of their biggest expenses is healthcare. Next to payroll, I think it's actually healthcare, except for pharmaceutical companies where it's a lot of research. And with healthcare is people take days off for stress and back problems. And if you can show that your talk will actually help reduce the absenteeism, decrease people's stress level, that's a huge ROI for the organization to bring you in. Whether they're bringing you in to pay you to come in, or it's a complimentary, a no fee speech, as I have you've heard me call it before in the past. But that helps you. You remember, little caveat here about no fee is that you always make sure that there's an exchange in value that you are happy with. That's for another talk. But whether you're speaking live or even virtually, because right now there is so much virtual conferences and meetings that are going on, and if you can show that you're going to have the ROI of having you as a guest expert in front of their audience, here's what will happen. Here's how my talk is going to help reduce your team's stress, your team's absenteeism, etc. And then, after you do speak, you've set the date, you give a great talk, live or in person. I keep adding that in just in case, because that in-person stuff is going to come back. You want to ask for referrals. That's right, referrals. Who else do you know that would benefit from my talk? I do this all the time for live, in person, and also virtual and podcast guesting. As a podcast guest, I always ask people at the end, because podcast hosts know other podcast hosts. So who do you know? Because typically, similar people in similar industries and similar podcast topics, they know each other. So who do you know that would benefit from my talk? And you just ask for could you introduce me to a couple of people, or could you give me a couple of names? And I will, if you don't mind, I will reach out to them and tell them that you referred me to speak to them. and then you take that on. I tell you, it works brilliantly. And that is how I have gotten booked for podcasts, guest experts, and also a lot of summits. And so this is how you get booked as the guest expert. Remember, I mean, there's so many benefits to getting booked as that guest expert. But let me take just a little pause here and let me know, what questions do you have for me right now? I'm an open book, you guys. You guys know that. I'm here to help serve you. Let's see. Sarah says, make it easy for them. If I DM or email people, then I offer my bio and a link to my reel, plus testimonials and other contact details. Thank you. Yes, that is absolutely perfect. Make it super easy for them to say yes to you. So what questions do you guys have? This has been a lot of fun. There's a lot of opportunity that's out there. People are trying to keep their teams, both in corporations, businesses, keep their teams engaged. But there's also so many opportunities, like right here just on Facebook. Right here, Facebook alone, there's lots of people who will bring you into their private community and have you as a guest expert, have you speak on your topic, your specialty. And let's see. What's your thoughts on being a guest on someone's group or then having them as a guest on yours? I have been guest experts in lots of other people's groups, but having guest experts here, like within my Facebook group, Entrepreneurs Making an Impact, I haven't done it very much. So I never feel obligated, like I have to. And one thing that I'm noticing is that I'm actually not getting a whole lot of, once I'm a speaker in somebody's group, I've never actually heard somebody say well, hey, how about if I was they've never even offered that idea. And my hunch is if somebody did offer that idea, I probably would say yeah, let's arrange something like that. What I should say is somebody from my high-end mastermind, the two of us did do a Facebook Live together, and we do want to do them again. That was with Kim, and we did it on Ecamm and Zoom. We were able to do this and just bring it into both of our groups. I hope that answers your question, but definitely getting in front of other people's private communities, because it's still another audience. And if you're going to be in there, chances are you might become a member of that group so that you can do that. Unless some people are using, I've done it with Be Live, and they've just brought me into that group. There are certain tricks that you could go in and comment on that video so that it brings it right back up in the feed, a couple of weeks later. Those are some some Facebook algorithm things to get your video, your interview, guest expert moment in somebody else's group seen again and again. Hope that helps, Sarah. Anybody else have any other questions? Let's see. Sarah has a lady who works with teen stress and their relationship with parents suggested we swap expert slots. What's her community on? Again, this really comes back to, you want to make sure that you speak to the right audience. Too many times I see that people, they just want to speak, and they'll speak in front of the wrong audience thinking that it's still a good move. And it's not a good move, because if you're not speaking to what that group of people are interested in hearing, then you're really they're not going to be interested. They're not going to show up. They're not going to watch the video, and they're certainly not going to refer you. Want to make sure, again, just going back to that, you speak in front of the right audience. Hope that helps, Sarah. But I would also never feel pressured to bring somebody into your community just because you spoke for their community. That's kind of like some of those, you'll see those Instagram follow threads, and hey, follow me and I'll follow you. And to me, those aren't quality leads. Those aren't quality followers. I don't get where to search. It's not Google, right? Actually, Sandy, you can also use Google. just like you would use Google for in-person events, you can also use Google to find other new Facebook groups. So for instance, you might type in, let's see, stress management or female entrepreneurs Facebook groups. And you could type that like right into Google. And Google's going to bring up all the different female entrepreneur groups that are in Facebook. You'll find a list. That's why like a lot of Facebook groups actually have descriptions. And if you do have a Facebook group, make sure your description is great. You want to use those keywords. So in other words, Sandy, let's just say you're using women stress management Facebook groups. Then any Facebook group that is for women and is using the word stress management in their group description, it's going to come up. But also when you're in a Facebook group, so let's say I'm thinking of a very large Facebook group that I'm a member of called Boss Moms. And I think there's something like 20,000 people there, maybe. There's a lot. So because there's a lot of posts all the time. I can't sit there and monitor the posts, like as they're coming in. So what you can do is in the search for that Facebook group, that's where you would type in your keywords: guest expert, speaker, podcast guest. Hope that helps. Let me know if that helps, Sandy. But this is how you do this, how you get booked as a guest expert. And the thing about doing this, getting booked as, dedicate some time, like literally put it in your calendar to be like, hey, for an hour every week, this is what I'm going to do. And these are the Facebook groups that I'm going to go to, and you're just going to check them. If you have a virtual assistant, you can have your virtual assistant do these keyword searches for you so that you don't have to do them, but also so that you don't miss any opportunities. And there's lots of ways for them, just like, they can just grab the URL and send it to you and like, hey, you need to reply to this. So those are a couple of ideas on how I keep getting booked for these events. And you just keep asking for referrals when you're done. And that's how, so one event, you ask for 2 referrals so that hopefully you'll have 2 other places to speak for, 2 other YouTube channels to be on, 2 other podcasts to be on, 2 other audiences to be in front of. And from there, those 2 turn into another 2. And so that's how it just keeps doubling and doubling, and it's like a domino effect. So I hope you guys found this interesting. Hope you found this helpful. If you are having questions like, I don't know where to start to do this, then feel free to book a call with me. I will type this right over here. You're at a loss of I don't know where to start this, Laurie-Ann. I don't know what my keywords are. I don't know how to find the right audience. Book a call with me, chatwithla.com. That brings you right to my scheduling link. And we will just talk about finding the right places for you to speak, finding the right audience, being able to hey, Laurie-Ann, what if I can't get paid to speak? No big deal. You've already heard me say speaking for no fee is a wonderful opportunity because that's where you get to share more about who you are, your offers, and you do it in a way that I teach you where you're just dropping lovely little breadcrumbs that is just to entice people and to learn more about you. So lots of really great stuff. I hope you guys are having a great week. We will not be having a Facebook Live next Monday. It is Memorial Day weekend here. It is the first summer weekend here over in the States. Really looking forward to it and getting outside. And I hope that you all are my friends here who are here in the U.S., I hope that you all have an enjoyable Memorial Day as well. If you have any questions that come up, please feel free to type them down below, especially if you're watching the replay, and I will talk to you in a couple of weeks.